Welcome to Unity of Mesa's. Today, unfortunately, we are simply on video and in the house. We are having a little technical difficulties. You know, another name for God? Technical difficulties. So what we're going to do is we're going to record it and put it up on Facebook and YouTube later. So if you're getting texts, where are you? Where are you? I can't find you on Facebook. There is a message on Facebook. And we are so happy you're here. What a blessing for you to be here. It's a blessing for us. It's a blessing for you. And we're going to have a lot of fun because we're doing something different today. My name is Reverend Nikki Golden. I'm one of the co-ministers here. Reverend Mindy Tucker, who's doing the lesson, is the other co-minister. On platform with me is Candy Lewis. Stephen Chavez is the board member of the day. We have Alyssa Chiarello here with us to sing, and Jenn Crandall is on piano. So we are ready to rock and roll. Are you ready to rock and roll with us? Yay! Yay! We are a spiritual community that calls out the best in each other. And sometimes that's just not easy to face within us when we're not feeling our best. So what we know is that in our divine nature, we can always take that divinity and weave it and interweave it with our humanity and find that place inside of us where we can express the best that we can in the moment. And then when we trust ourselves in that moment, and that takes some full faith, you guys, when we trust ourselves, then we are expressing the Christ nature that we are. Think about it for a moment. How much of your Christ nature are you expressing? How much of your divine nature are you expressing? And it's not to look at ourselves with guilt or blame, but it's to go, oh, I could be expressing more in this moment. And to do so from a place of love. Is that something that you're interested in? Yes. Is that something that you're willing to do? Yes. Then let's have some good fun. Candy's going to come up here. She's going to give us our guiding statement.
Yes. And I say thank you for sharing your love and light with us today. And please know that your soul is welcome here. I had to. And now, if you'll join me in saying our guiding statement of why we're here. We are here to experience the fullness of who we truly are in order to transform the world. All are welcome here. Thank you.
Yay, thank you. And we're going to invite you guys to stand if you're able, and we're going to have some fun singing.
I see your love, I see who you are. Thank you so much.
What an opportunity. We are doing something once a month, and this is the third Sunday of the month, and it's called our Intergenerational Moment. And we have this wonderful young man, Jai Davis, who's going to come and share what unity means. That's right. That's right. Come on up to the stage.
There you go.
Hello, Unity of Mesa.
Oh, sorry.
That's great. Let it be. Ben will fix it.
don't know what I'm going to say this morning, and neither do I. So let's find out. This morning, I want to talk about how Unity of Mesa helps me in life. I love the community here. It's amazing. All the teachers, all the messages, everyone is so nice, and all are welcome here. It doesn't matter if you're black, brown, purple, or orange and come from Mars. Everyone is welcome for the activities that we do. Today we're doing a car wash, and yeah. Do I like?
All right, thank you. And are you doing the affirmation of the day, John?
Oh, no, I don't think so. By the way,
Then we're going to call
Elvis has left the building.
our leaders of tomorrow.
How do you follow that? Oh my gosh. Thank you, Jai. You summed it up, and you may or may not have made a couple of us cry just a little. So thank you for your beautiful words, and I know that you mean them. Yeah, we can tell he loves being here. Okay, so we have our affirmation for this morning, and the youth lesson this morning is actually on the theme of love, as is our affirmation. So it is, I am grateful for the love of my family and all who show love for me. So there we go. Okay, let's say it together. I'm grateful for the love of my family and all who show love for me. So as Jai mentioned, our teens are doing the car wash and vacuuming. Thank you to all of you who brought your cars over. They have their work cut out for them. We're going to make sure they're watered and they'll be fed afterwards, so come and collect your cars afterwards, and we really heartfelt thanks for your support. It's an awesome event already. And our uni kids are still having their lesson, so we're going to exit shortly, and it is on the theme of love, and they're going to be making a cool poster about love. Thanks everybody for being here.
Let's give them a blessing. A great unity blessing. Children, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ you are. Thank you, Julie. As the writer becomes the manuscript, so too the traveler becomes the journey. Travel and journal written in present tense. As the sculptor becomes the clay, so too the chef becomes the cuisine, sustenance beyond recipe or menu. While musicians disintegrate, small winged dots flying everywhere, naturally as rain, move through the air. And quartet ellipses choreography, inspiring us to greater leaps of laughter and courage. Airborne, we too become poetry in this holy grammar of verb, opus of our own lives.
Dos oruguitas enamoradas pasan sus noches y madrugadas llenas de hambre, siguen andando y navegando el mundo que cambie, sigue cambiando, navegando el mundo que cambie, sigue cambiando. Dos oruguitas paran el viento mientras se abrazan con sentimiento, siguen creciendo, no saben cuándo buscar algún rincón. El tiempo sigue cambiando, inseparables son. El tiempo sigue cambiando. Ay, oro crecer, aparte volver, hacia adelante seguirás. Vienen milagros, vienen crisálidas, hay que partir y construir su propio futuro. Hay origuitas, no se aguante más, hay que crecer, aparte volver, hacia adelante seguirás. Vienen milagros, vienen crisálidas, hay que partir y construir su propio futuro. Oh, 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 Dos oruguitas desorientadas en dos capullos bien abrigadas con sueños nuevos. Ya solo falta hacer lo necesario en el mundo que sigue cambiando, tumbando sus paredes, habiendo nuestro milagro, nuestro milagro, nuestro milagro. Hay mariposas, no se aguante más, hay que crecer, aparte volver, hacia adelante seguirás. Ya son milagros, rompiendo crisálidas, hay que volar, hay que encontrar su propio futuro. Hay mariposas, no se aguante más, hay que crecer, aparte volver, hacia adelante seguirás. Ya son milagros, rompiendo crisálidas, hay que volar, hay que encontrar su propio futuro.
Dos Oruguitos is such a poignant and amazing song by Lin-Manuel Miranda, and it was written for the movie Encanto. But it's like, Encanto, yeah. So I'm almost verklempt. Yeah. A perfect preface to our lesson about Hispanic heritage. Yes, I'm verklempt. I'm going to look. Okay, Hispanic Heritage Month runs from the middle of September to the middle of October, and I couldn't get my mind around why you would have a month that went from the 15th to the 15th, because if you have, Oktoberfest, it's the month of October. But so when I found out that it was really about independence from Spain, and on September 15th, there are 5 countries that celebrate the anniversary of their independence from Spain. They're Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. And then on the 16th of September is Mexico. And today is Chile's Independence Day. And on the 21st, it'll be Belize, the country of Belize, celebrating their Independence Day. So once I found that all out, it all made sense why something would go from the 15th to the 15th and be a month. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. Okay, so throughout our country, the United States, there are celebrations, hundreds of celebrations celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. And some of them do focus on individuals like Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor and entertainers like Gloria Estevan and Jennifer Lopez, but most of them are public celebrations. They're parades, they're art exhibitions, there's fiestas, and even at Unity of Mesa, there is a Sunday, which is today, that's completely dedicated to looking at the value and the culture of the Hispanic people and how it matches and is one with our unity teaching. So at this point, I would say, ole, and you would say, ole. Now, here's a fun factoid about the word ole. It's a Spanish word, but it comes from the Arabic word meaning Allah. And if you know the word Allah, it means God. So every time we're saying ole at a soccer match or at a bullfight or at a flamenco performance, we're actually saying, God is good. Think about that the next time you say ole. Ole. All right. Now, in the 1970s, the United States government invented the term Hispanic. It hadn't been invented yet, but in the 1970s, the early 1970s, the government decided they needed a way to group together a diverse population, a number of diverse populations who had the singular thing in common, which was speaking the Spanish language. So it's really important to know that even though a Cuban American is Hispanic, it's not the same as a Mexican American. And being a Mexican American is not the same as being Puerto Rican. So diverse groups, but all come under this umbrella called Hispanic. Now, the only governmental body that considers Hispanic a race is the Justice Department, and that's because of civil rights issues. Now, that's very confusing to me because when you go to fill out official forms like how to get your driver's license and all those other things, they go, what's your race? Is it white, is it black, or is it Hispanic? But they're not the Justice Department. So let's not go there. Let's think about how there are 63 million Hispanics in the United States, which makes up about 18% of our population. They're the single largest ethnic conglomeration or group after white people. And they being the government, projects that by the year 2060, Hispanics will be 27.5% of the population. So you can see how it's really important to recognize that we cohabitate and that we're going to live with and learn from a different culture. I mean, this is why diversity is important, because when we learn about somebody else's culture, we recognize that we call it diversity and we think it's different, but it's actually the same as our own. So when we look at the key cultural commonalities within the Hispanic grouping, we come up with 3. And if Ben can put up the first slide, the first 3 we look at, or the 3 that I'm going to talk about today, are family, work, service, and generosity. So family, traditionally, a Hispanic family is more than just a nuclear unit. It's beyond the parents and the children. So the family in a Hispanic tradition is your grandparents and your cousins, and it's all these people. And if you watch movies like Coco or Encanto, which are designed to be educational, it's one of those sneaky things about Disney, you'll see how big family is, and you'll see how important family is, and you'll see how family wants to teach the importance of being a collective, a unit that's going to support you in whatever expression you want to grow up in, but they're also in turn going to expect you to support them. So there are reciprocity expectations in the Hispanic familia, in the Hispanic family unit. So they teach their children, they, being Hispanics, teach their children the importance of honoring one another, the importance of good manners, the importance of responding to authority and responding to your elders in a way that's very respectful. Now, soft sciences like anthropology and sociology are going to tell you that there are many types of family, and the three I want to talk about are the family you're born into, they're the ones you've got. The family you marry into, they're the ones you get. And then there's the family that we create. And the family we create is actually becoming more and more important in the 21st century because our society, we as a society, are far more mobile. The average American family moves 12 times. 12 times. Now, Hispanic families don't ever move very far. Even at the third generation, they're not moving very far from their familia. But in the 21st century, we're moving more and more, and an average of 12 times. And I'm thinking, 12 times, how can that be? Until I went back and I counted up how many times I've moved. I have moved 12 times. 12 times. And I've only lived in 4 states, and I lived in the first state for 55 years. But in this moving, we learn skills about adapting and finding that family of choice. I mean, it was divine order that we got the parents we got. So for some of this is a huge relief. It was divine order that we had the siblings we had, or maybe we didn't have any siblings, and that was divine order too. But the beauty of being in this present moment at this present time is we have the capacity to extend that divine order to create kin relationships or kin-like relationships with other people. I learned this growing up in Hawaii. That was my home state. My nuclear family was thousands of miles away from any blood relative. And so my parents learned how to make kin relationships, and I learned how to make kin relationships. I had, on the upside, more aunties and uncles than you can imagine. And the downside was, even in a city of 1 million people, there weren't many places I could go where a report was not sent back to my parents. So, anyway, the family we create is one of a relationship that consists of relationships that we desire. Hispanics cherish relationships, especially kin relationships, because they have an emphasis on collaboration versus competition. So it's all about the collective and moving the collective forward, moving your family forward, doing things to support your family, making life better for your family. Unity writer Georgiana Tree West has a lot to say about the notion of competition. She says it's a consciousness of lack. It's a consciousness of duality. There's win and lose. There's right and wrong. There's life and there's death. There's reward and there's punishment. And ultimately, it's about getting or not getting. So you see how that consciousness of competition doesn't necessarily serve our highest good in the long run. And I don't know what your philosophy or your beliefs are about life and death, but for the people who believe that there's reincarnation, the long run is a very long run, right? It's just, think about it. That's my job, is to tell you all these things you already know and then to tell you, think about it. Whereas a consciousness of collaboration is about supporting the outflow and the generation and the expression of the abundance that exists everywhere. Unity has a definition, a metaphysical definition for most words. And Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, said this about family. He said, if God is the father, mother, mother, father of all, then all men and women are brothers and sisters in universal family. In Christ consciousness, we're all one. And I love this because it's spiritual, and we're spiritual people in spiritual community. And to recognize that the spiritual community is a universal family, and that we are one when we latch onto, when we immerse ourselves in a consciousness of cooperation, anything can happen. Anything can happen. This reminds me of a meme I found on Facebook this week that says, family, the definition of family are people in your life who are close to your heart, who bring out the best in you, who laugh, celebrate, and dream with you, who love you infinitely. And this is what Unity of Mesa is to me. It's a collective of people who want nothing but the best for you, who want to support your dreams, who want to be with you in a way that supports you in experiencing more laughter, more joy, and more peace in this lifetime. Right here, right now. It's what we call the kingdom of heaven. So the takeaway question from this is, how are you showing up in your relationships? How are you showing up in your family of choice? How are you showing up in your social groupings? Are you showing up in oneness? Are you showing up as a participative member of a universal family? Are you holding the dreams of your loved ones in your hands and in your hearts? You can write it down, take a note. It's not to do right now, it's a big question. There's a word in the Greek text of the New Testament that's found about 20 times. We now call it Christian scriptures. It's called koinonia. And it means to be in fellowship, to be in community, or to have communion, to be in that oneness with one another. And here are a number of Bible citations. It's about being devoted to one another. It's about living in harmony with one another. It's accepting one another. It's spurring one another toward love and good deeds. And it's to love one another. So when we take away that question of how we're showing up as love in our relationships, we can know that it not only is it biblically based, but it's culturally based in the Hispanic culture, and it's very much a part of our unity teachings. Unity metaphysically believes that love is the harmonizing energy that wants nothing but the best for the object of its affection. So yeah, take that homework home with you. The Protestant work ethic was birthed by Anglos about the same time our nation was birthed. Now, I've always been a very hard worker, and when I moved to New England, I thought I was going to find my people. But do you know that I had more days off in that job than any place I've ever been? In addition to the 12 official holidays, there were also mandatory trips to the Cape and the Berkshires. There were mandatory trips to go see the leaf peeping, and there were snow days. Even when they thought it was going to snow, we would get a snow day. And I'm like, when does the work get done? Now, this is really the Protestant work ethics outside of New England is something that we've been taught to aspire to. And many of us do buy into it to the point, and we become so immersed in that Protestant work ethic consciousness that we sacrifice our well-being, we sacrifice our prosperity, the prosperity of our relationships, the prosperity of our time and our self-care, that kind of prosperity gets sacrificed when we become over-identified with our work. In other words, we attach our worth, had to practice that, our worth to our work. And my dad was very much like this. My dad was a super hard worker. And before he retired from his professional job, he invented a home job so that the transition would be very smooth. My father was the most industrious person that I have ever known. And at the age of 76, he was diagnosed with a rapid growing cancer. And when he got to the point he couldn't put his shoes on his feet, he declared himself useless. And it took his body 3 weeks to die. Now, I vowed at that time that I would never work like my dad. And it's a vow that I've had to commit to and recommit to and recommit to, because it's what I was marinated in as I grew up. Hispanics, on the other hand, they work to live. They work to support the collective. They work so that they can give. They work so that they can have fun. They work for the betterment of something that's bigger than themselves. Yes, they have an attachment to personal success, but personal success doesn't mean anything unless you are contributing to the future of the collective. It's such a different consciousness. And what a beautiful lesson for people like me. Right? People like me who tend to work to live. No, to live to work. Right. The goal is to work to live. All right. Charles Fillmore, in The Revealing Word, defines work, or the object of work. He says, all work is to express the powers of one's being and benefit mankind. The takeaway from this is, how are we working to express, how successful are we in expressing our spiritual powers, and how successful are we in benefiting all of mankind? Much more in alignment with Hispanic culture than the Protestant work ethic. And then there's service and generosity. Hispanics believe, and I think I've said this, and I'm not wanting to be redundant, but when we talk about Hispanics and generosity, the sure sign of success is that not that you have a lot of possessions, that it's not what you have, it's what you give. So that's the sign of success in the Hispanic culture. And the marker then is to give the most support monetarily to people who need it, and to have the best parties. I'm not kidding. I mean, my evidence is this. I teach prosperity in the ministerial program, and I'm currently teaching. I have this wonderful class that's ongoing right now. And the question I ask is, what is your first memory of money? And how does that memory, or how has that memory impacted your belief systems, the formulation of your belief system as you have grown into adulthood? And I have a student who's Hispanic, and she said, I thought we were really rich. My parents gave money away all the time. And we had the best parties. We celebrated every rite of passage for me and all of my sisters. She has 9 sisters, so that means 10 girls. I don't know how many brothers, but she mentioned the girls, because if you think about having celebrations and putting on parties, not only do you have to have the party for the communions, but you have to have the quinceañeras. Yeah, and then you have the weddings. So she grew up believing that she was very wealthy and that her family had always had more than enough. There are all kinds of studies about the activity of gift giving. And this is where psychologists and anthropologists and sociologists and economists and even marketers agree, which is a miracle that they ever agree. But they agree about gift giving being very complex and integral to the way we relate to each other as humans. And this research, I love this research, it also says that most people experience a greater benefit from the activity of giving than receiving. I think it's a huge consciousness shifter. If you feel sad, give and you'll feel better. If you're feeling afraid, give and you'll feel better. If you're feeling good, give and you'll feel better. Unity of Mesa is a very giving community. You may not be aware, but we tithe out a percentage of everything that comes in to this community. Everything. And we celebrate and honor the individuals who not only give of their treasure to this community, but they give of their time and their talent. We have ushers. We have people in the bookstore. We have people in hospitality. We have family members and teachers that are across the parking lot in the heat of the day washing cars. If I was there with a hose, we'd be having fun with that too. But I want to acknowledge that Reverend Nikki and I have been here for almost 6 months, and we see you. We see the generous people that you are. We've seen you bring in diapers. We've seen you make sandwiches. We've seen you hold the people who are bringing the diapers and making the sandwiches in prayer. Everybody has a part in the collective that Unity of Mesa is. I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to look at key features of the Hispanic culture, because there's so much in alignment with who we are as a spiritual community and who we are as individuals. Cesar Chavez said, "We cannot seek achievement for ourselves and forget about progress and prosperity for our community. Our ambitions must be broad enough to include the aspirations and the needs of others for their sakes and for our own." So whether you're politically aligned with him or not, these are amazing words and an incredible invitation for us to, from the outer to the inner, don our Hispanic culture that we are now marinating in, not only here in Arizona, but all around the United States. So we're going to sing our way into meditation by singing "I Am That I Am Has Sent Me." You can listen if you like, you can sing if you like, but mostly I want you to allow the words of your mouth and your heart to direct you inward. I am that I am has sent me to this now moment. Here I am that I am has sent me to this now moment. Here I am to be the voice and to be the heart through which heaven is made known on Here I am. Here you are in spiritual community, in kin-like relationships with one another, carrying this love and support for our dreams, the knowing that each heart, each mind that is joining in this meditation is inviting us to go deeper and deeper and deeper yet, so that the world as we know it completely dissolves. Edges soften. And become a flow to our oneness with God. A flow that is mighty, a flow that is strong, a flow that is love harmonizing. A flow in which all of our needs are met. Compassion, connection, community, contribution, feel the peace, feel the joy, and most of all, feel the love as we come into a time of holy and sacred silence. I am that I am has sent us to be the light, to do as Buddha invited us, to light the lamps of others, knowing that that light also illuminates our way. With the breath of God, with an infilling of spirit, we come back up into the light, back up into this time and place, back up into a conscious awareness of spiritual community, of our oneness with God and all of life, our oneness with each other. And in gratitude, in great gratitude for unity and for our Hispanic brothers and sisters, we say thank you, God. Amen.
We are abundantly blessed at Unity of Mesa. We give as Christ. We give as the one who sent us, and we are the one that sent us. We remember that the things that we are connected to and give to are what spreads in the world. Brev and Mindy talked about how the Hispanic community is very collectivist. And I am always aware of the community I'm part of in the community, and this is an amazing community. But I also remember that a community is made up of individuals, and as individuals, those big ideas have to have small actions. Those small things we do is what collectively makes a big difference. So, let's remember the gifts that we give of our time, talent, treasures. Let's hold those gifts in our hearts and minds. And together, let's see, is this time for the, yes. There we go. Divine love flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. So it is. So there are many ways to give at Unity. You can text your gift to this number, and there it is. And there's many other ways we can mail. You can give online, in the Banco mobile app. And every time I do this, I get a little better. Is there anything I'm missing?
Mi alma glorifica al Señor y mi espíritu se llena de júbilo en Dios mi Salvador, porque puso sus ojos en la humildad de su esclava. Mi alma glorifica al Señor. Desde ahora me llamarán dichosa todas las generaciones, porque ha hecho en mí grandes cosas. El Dios de todas las naciones, santo es su nombre y su misericordia llega a toda generación. Mi alma glorifica al Señor y mi espíritu se llena de júbilo en Dios mi Salvador, porque puso sus ojos en la humildad de su esclava. Mi alma glorifica al Señor. Ha demostrado el poder de su brazo, dispersó a los que vienen con maldad, destronó a los potentados y exaltó a los que muestren humildad. Colmó de bienes a los que tienen hambre y sin nada a los ricos despidió. Mi alma alma glorifica al Señor y mi espíritu se llena de júbilo en Dios mi Salvador. Oh, porque puso sus ojos en la maldad de su esclava. Mi alma glorifica al Señor. De su misericordia se ha acordado y muy fiel vino en ayuda de Israel, el siervo amado, como prometió sin duda a nuestros padres y a Abraham y a los hijos de sus hijos, por siempre y para siempre. Mi alma glorifica al Señor y mi espíritu se llena de júbilo en Dios mi Salvador, porque puso sus ojos en la maldad de su esclava. Mi alma glorifica al Señor.